Good evening, darlings, and a very warm welcome to Sunday Night Live with me, Boaty, and we're going to be together for the next 59 minutes or so as we wave goodbye to Sunday and the week that has passed and wave in Monday and the week ahead. Gosh, won't that be exciting? And we get to do it in such thrilling company too. How wonderful is that? Quite wonderful. I'm sure you would agree. Now, if I look slightly flustered, it's because I've literally just walked through the door. Yes, darlings, we were unexpectedly busy at the restaurant tonight, and I am home somewhat later than usual. And if I look somewhat unkempt and tramp-like, then that is because I have driven home in a mid-engine convertible car with the roof down, and the wind and bats and owl droppings swirling around my head and making my wig look like Ken Dodd on a really bad night. But I don't care. I have had a fantastic day. I woke up and Alexander Usyk was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Isn't that marvelous? And Big John Fury will be crying into his breakfast beer. Absolutely splendid. And then there was Formula One, which was nice. And I made a rather splendid luncheon, which I shared in a virtual, figurative, and photographic sense with my friends in the Facebook group, Boaty's World. Search for it on Facebook. You'd be mad not to. And then then I went to work and zoomed around in a little convertible all evening, which was nice. So that's my day. How has your day been? How did you feel when you got up? What did you have for breakfast? What did you have for lunch? What colour underwear did you decide to put on? And how have you spent your morning, afternoon, and indeed evening? Gosh, what chuckles we are going to have together. I can scarcely wait to get into your fantastically wonderful, interesting, and windswept comments. And let's get on with that now, shall we? Let's dive in to your words of wisdom and companionship. But before I do that, I'm going to have a sip of Wayne. Your very good health, darlings. Bottoms up. And up yours, obviously. Be rude not to, really, wouldn't it? Right, that's enough of the sipping. Let's get on with the tasting. Ugh. Okay, well, that's moderately foul, but it's alcoholic, wet, and cold. And quite honestly, darlings, I'll settle for that. Oh, yes. Now then, first cab off the rank tonight is Steve Cole. Good evening. Jimmy Quinn is here. Good evening, Boaty and all. Good evening, Jimmy. The lovely Sophie is here and says hi. Matron is here and says good evening, all. Peter P is right with us and says a very good evening to all. The M11 is here and says good evening to everybody in chat above. And I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. And an extra touchy-feely hello to the delicious vision before me that is Boaty. Yummy. God, you keep that up and I'm going to start taking you seriously. DJ Palsy P popped in to say that, quite frankly, he's in need of some Jack and Danny, so he's off. Well, thank you for popping in. Alan Simpson is here, says good evening, everyone. Jimmy Quinn says you was right, Boaty, about the boxing. Well, yeah. And I told anybody who cared to listen, and I had a bet with anybody who cared to have a bet. As long as it was scored reasonably fairly, then I was sorry, first wine burp. I was sure that Sasha was going to come out very much on top. And what a fantastic fight it was. What a fantastic fight it was. Boaty asks Alan Simpson, what is your karaoke song? Alan, I don't really have a karaoke song because I don't really do karaoke. I was a professional vocalist for many years. And I kind of did any singing that I wanted to do. I did kind of within my professional career, if that doesn't sound too poncy. So yeah, I would not be tempted to go to a karaoke. I mean, you know, I wouldn't go to one on purpose. If I ended up at one with friends, then one thing, but I'm not sure if I would sing. And the reason for that is most karaoke, and karaoke means empty orchestra in Japanese, in case you were wondering. Most karaoke setups are of a very, very poor quality, and it would offend my professionalism to sound as bad as I would through a ramshackle, cheapo old system like that. So, but I mean, I'll pick a karaoke song, I suppose, seeing as you were kind enough to ask. So, I mean, rephrase the question then. What is the song that I enjoyed singing professionally most of all? Good question, actually. Can I give you a selection of my favorite songs to sing? Oh, okay. Probably, if you know what I mean. Wicked Game, Chris Isaac. Max the Knife from the Beggars Opera. I quite enjoyed doing In the Ghetto. And go on, I'll do one more, make it 5. Oh gosh. I'm struggling to think of number 5. It's probably not any of the big songs, if you like, because I had to sing them so often. You know, when you have to sing the same songs night in, night out, it kind of takes its toll on you. So I'm trying to think of something a little bit different that. Oh, how about a bit of fun? Daddy sang bass. I used to have a bit of fun with that one. There you go. Interesting question. I'll ask the same question to all of you. What is your karaoke song? I love a bit of karaoke, says the M11. Mr. Stephen Paddy from Port Sunlight in the Whittle, the Leisure Peninsula, says, we all missed our Jason last night. How's your day been this Sunday before work? It's been fab, as I said. Good evening, says Bad Books. Hello, everyone, says Project Nigel. What time is House coming tomorrow? Sophie and Neil. Oh, and well done to good old Neil for doing his climb up Snowdon. Yeah, well done to our friend Neil, who climbed Snowdon on no hours sleep after a long shift at work in aid of cancer charity. So good on him. What a cracking thing to do. And I hope he thoroughly enjoyed the experience. As for what time will they be coming to the house, whenever we get home from the yard, I suppose. I'll be going to the yard as usual tomorrow. I'll be meeting Neil and Sophie there. I imagine Mustard might turn up as well. You know, what with it being his yard, and there'll be the possibility of another free lunch. And then we'll head home at the normal time, I suppose. So, 8 o'clock, 8:30, something like that. And we will be going live at, indeed, 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Remember, Monday night is an hour earlier because I'm not at the restaurant. It's my day off. Which is nice. I was just watching Smashing Pistons' new video, says Mustard. He's made a really good one. Well, I don't know what his new one is, Captain Mustard, but I watched a video from our friend Simon, Smashing Pistons, and it was a video about the rover that could have been the Lotus rover. And this is actually meant as a compliment, believe it or not. It's not going to sound like one. I love Simon to bits. He's a lovely chap, and I've always tried to support his channel. But I'll let you into a little secret. Whenever I try and watch every single video that he puts out, and there comes a point where I just think, nope, and have to turn it off. But that didn't happen. For the first time ever, I sat through a whole one of Simon's videos, and I thought it was good, and I enjoyed it. And I watched the whole thing, and that was the video, the Lotus rover. He didn't go into any weird voices. He didn't put any weird flashy effects on the screen. He didn't put any random crap in there, which are all the things that make me turn off his videos, having started watching them. And I thought it was really good. And he has, of course, passed a bit of a channel milestone. He's hit the old 500 subscriptions. So congratulations to him for that. I did a 3-hour Twitch stream last night, says Matron. Saw a few new names. Hello to you all. Dinner was chicken with roast carrots and stuffing. I've been eBaying today and hoovering a quite frankly hairy PC. The M11 is replying to Alan, who asked her what her karaoke song of choice was. And she says, I used to love singing Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me or Black Velvet. Haven't done karaoke for years, though. Well, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me is a dreadful song, whereas Black Velvet, which was, of course, recorded by Alana Miles, is a fantastic song. Now, one of my cabaret artists, and I do claim her as mine because she came through one of the talent competitions that I ran, and the top prize was, however much cash it was, a studio recording session and a contract with a very well-known entertainment agency, and I'm trying to remember what her name was. Jenny and Steve, that's right. And she didn't win this competition, but she should have. The judging was a little bit skew-whiff, and I said, look, you should have won that competition. I'll give you the same prize as the person that won, because, I was responsible ultimately for the judges. I said, or, we really like you and we really like your other half, Steve. If you want to come and join us and be part of our cabaret, we'd have you. We'd love to have you. And she opted for that. And Black Velvet was one of her songs. She had an amazing voice, an absolutely amazing voice. And she wasn't really a vocalist by trade, not even a keen amateur as such. She She was a music teacher, but she taught instruments. I can even remember her company name, Music 2000, which will tell you that this all took place before the year 2000. I wonder what she's doing now, bless her. She and Steve, they were lovely, but what a voice she had. What a voice. Now, she and my business partner, Mel, who was also cabaret artist, um, they used to do a duet. No More Tears, Donna Summer and Barbara Streisand were the originals. And I tell you what, God help us. Talk about what's his name's BTO, better than original. Oh, that live would make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. Absolutely extraordinary. But I haven't heard Black Velvet for decades. I was going to say years, but it's probably decades. Black Velvet and the little boy smile. Black Velvet. Yeah, good number now. Good number indeed. Ah, and speak of Neil, and he will appear. Neil, of course, the Snowdon mountain climber and well-known gibbon hater. He hates gibbons, but he doesn't mind the mountain. Give him a mountain, he'll climb it. Oh yeah. Show him a gibbon, he'll hate it. Yes, yes, indeed. Good evening, Neil. How are you, sir? Hope you're not aching too badly. Ross is here, Dino Dad, and he says, good evening, bottom burps, one and all. Jolly good evening to you. And Neil says, to be honest, I'm not that bad. Legs hurt a bit behind the knees, but the worst part of it was the sunburn. Oh, right. My favourite karaoke song that I ever did, says Matron, was I Am What I Am. That was a blast. Oh, I love Wicked Game, says the M11. I used to love singing that. That was, my father was the kind of man who tended not to give you much in the way of praise. And if he did, it would be behind your back and not to your face, you know. My dad was the sort of man who showed his love by telling you how you could have done better. Um, and as far as I knew, he only ever came to one of my shows as a singer. But my mother told me this, and I subsequently found out from somebody else that it was true. He loved the song Wicked Game. And he and Mum were shopping in a local supermarket. And they were at the checkout, and the supermarket was playing, you know, music over the speakers. And the song playing was Chris Isaak, Wicked Game. And my father was listening, and he said to the cashier in front of my mum, because Dad would never have told me this, he said, my son is a professional singer, and he sings this song. And then he listened a little bit more and said, my son actually does it better. He would never have said that to me in a million years. But yeah, so there you go. There you go. I was so happy when I found that out. And the show of mine that he did come to, it was a relatively small show, relatively early on in my career. It wasn't in a theatre or a hall. It was in a concert hall in a club. You know the kind of thing. And so my mum and dad were in the audience, and I was cracking on. And in a club environment, I didn't hang about in clubs for all that long. I moved on up the ladder to bigger venues and corporate stuff. But things tended to be a little bit more informal, a bit more low key, and you know, it wasn't unknown for people to come up on stage, that kind of thing. You know, some drunken builders who've had 14 pints of Springfield bitter and think that they can sing better than you can. And that happened to me on that night. I can't remember what I was singing, which song it was, but two of them lurched up on stage and tried singing along with me, And of course, as soon as he saw this happen, my old man leapt up, firmly intent on smashing their faces in and throwing them out. My mother kind of had to sit on him and said, leave. And of course, I was absolutely fine with it. You're used to that sort of thing. They want to come up on stage. That's great. Yeah. So, mic in the mic stand, arms round them, let them ruin your bloody song, let them have a bit of fun. The audience all thinks it's funny. And that was pretty much the only other compliment I ever heard secondhand, again from my mum. And that was, Dad said, I can't believe how he dealt with that. I can't believe how well he dealt with that. I could never have done that. Yeah. God, funny the things you think about, isn't it? I can still remember that night. I couldn't tell you what club it was, except that it was somewhere in Birmingham. I remember. It was Sweet Caroline. It was Sweet Caroline, that's right. And they got up because it was one of their misses or something. Her name was Karen Ryan, and it was her birthday. So they wanted to get up and sing Sweet Karen Ryan. That was it. And they didn't like maraud onto the stage. They just kind of show. And I go, come on in. And and we sang it together. And I did a bit of patter with the Karen Ryan in the audience. And it all went down an absolute treat. And it added to the show. I mean, if you've ever done, I don't know how many of you have or haven't, but if you've ever done clubs as some kind of entertainer, my God, believe me, you've got to be able to deal with heckles. And you've got to be able to, when a drunken working class audience throws shit at you, you need to be able to turn it round and make it funny. Otherwise, you're in trouble. I sound like I'm dying when trying to sing Wicked Game, says Matron. Love the song, though. Maybe you might resume karaoke for tomorrow night, Emma, suggests Jimmy F500. And the M11 says, Mr. Lemon loved and badly sung in the ghetto all the time, so I can't bear to hear it anymore. I like In the Ghetto because it was a chance for me to sing in baritone. My natural voice is baritone, verging on bass baritone. Certainly, when I've done musicals, I've always sung a baritone or bass baritone role. But in terms of popular music, then there's not all that much that you can do as a baritone. Now, I was quite fortunate in that once my voice had been developed and I'd trained it and I'd done a lot of vocal work, then I eventually had a 5-octave span. So I could do pretty much anything. And I had a full head voice as well. But I think that was the reason I enjoyed singing in the ghetto, that I could resort into a rich, natural baritone. And it was always said that I had a really exceptional timbre to my voice, and that worked well with that song. But thinking about it, if I had to pick one song, it would be Mac the Knife from the Beggar's Opera. I love Mac the Knife. I had, if I was doing it self-contained, then I had a special backing track made for it, because I had quite a powerful voice, and I really wanted all of the orchestration to come in super heavy in the last third, because my voice was powerful enough that I could sing over it, and it really just added to it. Yeah, I love doing Mac the Knife. Oh, I've just remembered "And the Grass Won't Pay No Mind." I used to sing that with my eyes closed. Yeah. God, maybe that's a bucket list thing. Maybe I'd like to do one last concert before I shuffled off this mortal coil. God knows what my voice is like now. It's been a long time. The last time I ever sang publicly, as I've told you many times, was my own wedding reception. Buggered if I was going to let anybody else do that. What about the Fred the Shed song, says Peter P. Well, I don't know. Has Mustard got a Fred? Oh, he has got a Fred the Shed song, hasn't he? My Fred the Shed song is "I'm Fred the Shed. Diddle little little do. I wish I was dead. Diddle little little loo." YouTube hate that, Jimmy F500, says Matron. Hate what? Oh, right. Oh, okay. Singing in the live stream. They used to tell my friend off, copyright, when he tried it. How are we all tonight? Asked Sophie. Oh, wow. I'm impressed by the professional singing from Mr. Boaty. Wicked game is a belter. It is. I used to do Blue Hotel and Heart Full of Soul as well, which were great. For those who don't know, then at the time that I was a vocalist, then tribute act. If you were on the normal circuit, i.e., you're not somebody in the charts, you're not some kind of megastar. The general rule of thumb was that if you were a tribute act, then you would get double what a normal covers act would get. So it made financial sense to be a tribute act. And as it happens, I could do a rather good one, somewhat unexpectedly. Not my natural voice, but it was a voice that I could do, and I could do it very well. And as it happens, I loved all of the songs. I loved the lyrics, and I enjoyed interpreting them. So for most of my career, I was a Neil Diamond tribute. I fronted a Neil Diamond tribute show called Hot August Night. So I didn't get the chance to do the other stuff as much as I would like. It wasn't my bread and butter. But when I could do it, I enjoyed it very much. Oh, John Stoodley is here. Hey, chat. Hope all is well tonight. Neil says, I love a bit of Johnny Cash. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I did A Boy Named Sue a few times as well, for a bit of a laugh. I quite like a bit of Johnny Cash as well. Although, I mean, you'll be talking about Daddy Sang Bass. And Johnny Cash wasn't my favourite version of that. There was a much, much better version. But yeah, there we are. Hey, John, hope you're well, says the M11. Any skin tag update? Oh, well, that'll come through. My favourite karaoke song, says Alan Simpson, is Donald, Where's Your Trousers? Anything that involves imitating a voice is always fun. I've just come down from the Isle of Skye. I'm no very big and I'm awful shy. The lassies shout when I go by, Donald, where's your trousers? The wind blow high, let the wind blow low. Through the streets of my kilt I'll go. Oh, the lassies shout, hello, Donald, where's your colostomy bag? Oh, dear. What was that that's just ringed up? Oh, Boy Named Sue for a super chat. Sing it, big boy. I can't remember the words. I only did it a handful of times. I genuinely can't remember the words. Oh God, A Boy Named Sue. I mean, it's not really a song. You talk your way through it. No, I can't remember. I can remember snippets of them, but I couldn't go through it. My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're gonna die. Yeah, that's what I told him. It's a great number. I love a lot of country stuff. I used to sing quite a lot of country stuff. If I could get away with it, if I wasn't if I wasn't booked as a tribute, I used to love a lot of country stuff. I used to love doing quite a bit of Kenny Rogers. I used to. Oh God. Yeah. Thanks, matron. I used to love Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town, The Gambler. What else did I do with Kenny's? I did Islands in the Stream as a duet. Oh, that was one I enjoyed singing. I forgot about that. This was a cabaret number. Obviously only at Christmas, but I used to do. Thank you, matron. Yeah, thank you. What, you want me to get a copyright strike as well? I used to do what's it? Fairy Tale in New York. Me and Mel used to do that. That was always fun. He's always singing the Mr. Boaty song and Allegro Man, says Captain Mustard. Perfectly true. I am always singing it. And, I'll get a copyright strike off Captain Mustard if I do. Mr. Boaty, you fat lazy twat. I love to see you when you're wearing a hat. I'd like to shag you. What you think about that, Mr. Boaty? You're a twat. I love that song. And I don't know the proper Allegro Man. I just sing that he's got nothing to lose but his trousers or his morals or whatever he's on the verge of losing that particular day. My karaoke song is Now the End is Near, says Steve Cold, as the crowd points shotguns at me. That's funny. That is funny. Thanks all, says Neil. It was for Cancer Research UK, and we cleared 3,750 quid. Bloody hell, that's amazing. Yeah, matron's giving him a round of applause, and so am I. Sophie's had a couple of drinks, so she's happy and excited, and she's not going to sleep. Not much news, Emma, to be honest, says John Stoodley. It's still there, but it's going a white colour. I'm led to believe that is good. Black Velvet is a total classic, says Alan. Sultry gloriousness. I agree. I had 2 beers last night, says Neil. Passed out on the sofa, woke up and I'd wet myself. Wow. Happens to us all, mate. Happens to us all. I'm sure you were very tired after climbing that mountain. It's taken its time, says the M11. And I don't know what that's in relation to. Mr. Stephen Parry from Port Sunlight in the Whittle, the Leisure Peninsula, says, Jason, when you were a singer, did you ever do Alice? Who the bleep is Alice? No. No, I didn't. No, absolutely not. Daddy sang bass, Mama sang tenor. Me and little brother would join right in there. You know, singing seems to ease a troubled soul. One of these days won't be long. I'll be diddly-do. When my best friend got married, says the M11, she asked me to sing, and I hated the song she chose. But I did it for her out of kindness. Oh, what song was it? Asked Neil. And it was Ain't Nobody. Yeah, that is. Oh, no, that's all right, isn't it? Difficult one to sing, though. Difficult one to sing. I love karaoke, says Sophie. Yep, that's the one, says Mustard. I love Ain't Nobody, says Matron, the original. And then she shouts out the lyrics. I love karaoke too, Sophie, says Alan, especially in an absolute dive. I'm not a very good singer, says John, so I just don't do it. The M11 says, I did it with just an acoustic guitarist, so it was all right, I guess. Barry Scrotter is here and says, hi, chat, and hi, Boaty. Hello to you. The last karaoke I did, says Barry Scrotter, was 9 a.m. in a pub on the table before the. Now, it's got a lowercase r, so I want to say Reading Festival, but it could be supposed to have a capital R and then it would be Reading Festival. I don't know which. It was shocking, but I was drunk, so I didn't care. Standing on the table. Steakog says, I don't think that them flowers are, and that's sick. I don't think them flowers are real. What? Well, they are. They were too cheap for artificial ones. Boaty, sing some wicked game for us, please. Oh, I haven't got the game for that. I haven't got the voice for that anymore. Wicked game was tough. You needed to have a trained voice for that. I mean, it's a lot of it is head voice. I'd need to work up to that one. Neil says, Emma, we've been talking to the other Greenwood in our lives, and we are bringing games to camping. So we have Cards Against Humanity, and I hear you are bringing Twister. Fuck me, we're going to end up playing Naked Twister, aren't we? Oh, God. Oh, God, Jeremy Clarkson will kick us out. Oh, I hope his missus joins in. What? Oh, dear. Oh, yeah, but then he might too. I'm not sure I could cope with a naked Jeremy Clarkson. Oh. Actually, he'd make me look better, wouldn't he? Jeremy Clarkson, you fat lazy twat. You look a twat when you're wearing that hat. I'd like to kill you. What you think about that, Mr. Clarkson? You're a twat. Neil just played Danny Boy, The Pipes are Calling. I cried to that song. I hate that song. I married a bloody Irish woman, didn't I? Spent quite a lot of time in Ireland, and the Irish contingent came over here, and it always ended up with everybody absolutely maudlin drunk. And Danny Boy came. Oh God, I couldn't bear it. God, talk about music to slit your wrist to. Oh, Danny Boy, the peeps are calling. Oh God. Don't make me have to mod you, Emma, says Matron. And the M11 jokingly suggested Twister. But yes, games will be fun. I cannot sing, says Bad Books, but did karaoke once, smashed on White Lightning. I screamed, I will survive, and then walked across my mate's glass cold frame, as you do. Oh, yes, says Matron. I forgot about the games, Emma. Neil is planning shots and everything. Tequila Rose, I believe. Someone point me at my tent. God, this is going to be horrendous. Script poker, murder in the dark, suggests M11. And Matron goes on. Emma, when I said you had suggested Twister, Neil literally shouted, yes, yes, she has to bring Twister. And Neil says, don't worry, Trace, I'll point something at your tent. This is going to be absolute carnage. This camping trip, I would strongly recommend to you all that you don't even think about coming. It's going to be horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I mean, I'm a man of God. How am I supposed to survive being inured in this filth and depravity? I suppose I could always take confession in the morning, couldn't I? Barry Scrotter suggests a murder mystery camping weekend. Yeah. One problem, says the M11, I don't own Twister. It would be funny though. Oh, and apparently Matron's daughter has Twister. So, and Matron goes on, oh my God, Neil, don't mistake me for the toilet. Touching me, touching you, says Barry Scrotter. Oh, God. I'll borrow my sister's Twister, and I think we have Connect 4, says Neil, but I may get very annoyed if you win. Can't we play Trivial Pursuit? Or chess? Oh, God, this is getting worse. I might think it's a pony's nose and have to stroke it, Neil, says Matron. This is just not going in a good direction, this camping trip. I mean, this is going to be like an X-rated version of Carry On Camping, isn't it? Oh, I've got a very bad feeling. I might take a spare tent so I can run away to the other side of the field and just read my scholarly and religious books and drink some water. Pray for all of the poor depraved souls playing naked Twister on the other side of the field. Need a large stash of scampi fries, says the M11. I agree with that. Good shout, says Matron. I want to play hide the scampi fries. Oh, God. Oh, God above. God, hide the scampi fry. Oh, it goes soggy. It wouldn't be the same. And it'd make it smell awful. Or like normal, depending on, the general standard of said scampi fry hiding. Well, enough about that. We don't need to be talking about that, do we? Oh dear. Can you send me some scampi fries, says John. I won't be going camping with you lovely people. Very sensible of you, John. Oh, you should totally do a concert, Mr. Boaty, says Alan. I had a packet of scampi fries last night, says Steve Cold. Hide the scampi, feed the salami. Nice tent games you got there, says Peter P. Oh, God. I'll play hide the scampi fry, but we may end up smelling like something foul, says Neil. Oh, God. Oh, dear me. Oh, oh, God. Oh, Lord above. Neil's talking about not washing and having a bath with baby wipes. And neither Steakold nor the M11 could taste the lemon when they had a packet of scampi flavoured rice. I'm loving learning all about you, Boaty. This is fantastic, says yeah, I agree, John. The camping trip will be like Pornhub. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you and Emma and I should do islands. Yeah, islands. I love Fairy Tale in New York, don't I? Trace, says the M11. And oh yes, says Matron. So do my daughters. A good Donald there too. If you come to Scotland, I'll duet it with you. You're on. You're on. I just come down. I didn't do it in a Scottish accent, did I? Who was it? It was Andy Stewart, wasn't it? The song should go just a little bit like this. I just come down from the Isle of Skye. I'm no very big and I'm off for shy. Lasses shout when I go by. Donald, where's your cruisers? I love that. That was actually, God almighty, memories. I've just had a memory. That must have been re-released sometime in the late 1980s. And it was a different mix of it with a bit of Elvis thrown in. Donald, where's your trousers? Donald. And I remember that played in the nightclub that I used to frequent in the very, well, right at the end of the 1980s, in the winter of 1989 to be specific, or somewhere around there. You're a bum, you're a punk, you're a cheap slut on junk. And that was the M11 and Matron, slightly getting the lyrics wrong. Oh, okay, John. John doesn't think that Clarkson owns the campsite. It doesn't really matter, does it? House of the Rising Sun, The Animals is my go-to song for karaoke, says Neil. There is an ass in New Orleans, what they call the rising sun, in it. And it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. Dear God, I know, I'm one. Oh, I'm one. I'm one of them, all right. The only thing what a gambler needs is a suitcase and a trunk. And the only time that he's satisfied is when he's all a drunk. Oh! Oh, dear. I'm going to I'm going to enjoy myself on the way to Boaty's tomorrow, says Sophie. So happy. That's why I won't sleep. Bag is packed and ready to go. I'm glad you're happy. It's been my ringtone on my phone for years. Absolutely my favourite song. It's a great number. Did you ever do any ABBA songs? Asks Mr. Stephen Parry. God, no. Naked Twister with baby oil, suggests Barry Scrotter. Dear God. Me and my mate did a karaoke show for 5 years, says Jimmy Quinn. Yeah, I'm added an Irishman, says the M11. That was brave of you. I'm not playing Naked Twister if Mr. Tinkle Winkle is playing, says Neil. Mr. Tinkle Winkle won't be there. You know he can't get an overnight pass. And Jimmy Quinn also says Clarkson doesn't own the campsite. Oh, well. Let's face it, says Neil, if we don't get banned from the campsite, we didn't go camping correctly. Yeah, exactly. You can, quite right, M11. You can all come into my tent and confess your sins the next morning. I hope Boaty brings enough Momo juice instead of baby oil. Oh, God. Simone's walked in right in the middle of this. Hello, Simone. How are you, my lovely? Hope you're well. Title suggestion from Barry Scrotter. Boaty's World, The Lost Weekend. Oh. I'm still celebrating Usyk beating Fury. I can't tell you how happy I was. And you wouldn't have recognized me. I was bouncing around the cottage last night. God, what's happening there? It was like the universe took care of something that was wrong and made it right again, because I'm genuinely passionate about boxing. Both, I did box and as a fan, and I genuinely believe in the noble art of pugilism. And I hate it when it's hijacked by somebody who doesn't understand, and it's hijacked by a loudmouth. That's why I didn't like Muhammad Ali. He was beyond the pale. And in many ways, Tyson Fury is similarly beyond the pale. And his father most definitely is. I mean, if you ask me to describe people like Muhammad Ali and Tyson Fury, then they are ignoble people practicing the noble art. And I'm delighted that the ultimate crown, when it finally came about, is held now by somebody who understands respect, dignity, has a genuine warrior spirit, not like Tyson Fury and his father, blathering on about, I'm a fighting man, I can beat any man that ever came out of his mother, all of that bollocks. Absolute rubbish. Tyson Fury is, Tyson Fury is many things, and I've never met the guy. I'm told he's actually a very nice chap. But, he's abused drink, he's abused drugs. There's plenty of footage of him losing his temper when he's out drinking and kicking a taxi in and all of that sort of thing. And he's incredibly disrespectful and insulting. And he will say that he's just building a fight and so on and so on and so on. But, it's ignoble, and it is beyond the pale. Whereas Usyk is a real fighting man. Usyk is a man who, as soon as his country was in trouble, he didn't mess about. He went, put on a uniform, got his ass on the front line, and I genuinely believe he would still be there today, were it not for his country saying, "Look, you will serve the country better than representing us on the world boxing stage." Same go for the Klitschko's. They're the real fighting men, not jumped up people like Tyson Fury who think bare knuckle boxing is the epitome of manliness. It's and Tyson's a dirty fighter as well, and I don't approve of that either. I'm just really glad. If I met him, I'm sure that he's charming, and I'm sure that I'd really like him. And I'm sure that a lot of what he puts out there is a persona out there for cameras and whatever. But nonetheless, I'm glad that the ultimate prize that will go down in history has been claimed by somebody, in my mind, a little more deserving, because it's better for the sport, quite honestly. And a son is not responsible for his father's actions, but that headbutt, Fury deserved to lose the fight. Through the universe doing its thing because of that headbutt, if not for anything else. And I know it was his dad, but he wouldn't even condemn him for it. He said, "Oh yeah, it's great. My dad knows how to sell a fight," because his old man dropped the nut. Having confronted all of the big guys in Usyk's entourage, he then managed to find a little kid about 12 years old and 9 stone ring in wet, dropped the nut on him. And ironically enough, didn't even hurt him. The little kid was just unfazed and just went, "What?" And John Fury has just headbutted him. He's got blood streaming down his face. Talk about a Pyrrhic victory. Probably the only man in history who's headbutted somebody, dropped the nut, and done themselves more damage than they did the person they were nutting. Oh dear. Anyway, we said hello to Simone, didn't we? Momo chutney covered naked twister, says the M11. Dear God. Simone says, "How is everyone? I'm trying to think of a way to save 8k. Well, 8,000 quid. Blimey. That's quite the sum, isn't it?" Fury has an automatic rematch anytime he wants it, says John, with October being the suggested date. Yeah, there's a rematch clause in the contract, but my prediction is that Fury will not take the rematch. A couple of reasons for that. Number one reason is I don't think that Fury thinks that he can win. Now, he could do the fight differently, in theory, if it happened again. But I'm not sure that Fury is any longer physically capable of fighting the fight that he would need to fight to beat Usyk. So that's one reason why I don't think he'll take the rematch. It is there if he wants it. It's an automatic rematch clause. It doesn't absolutely happen, but Fury can trigger it if he wishes to. So, reason number one, I'm not convinced that Fury thinks that there would be a different result if he fought him again. Reason number two, if the rematch happened, it wouldn't be for the undisputed championship of the world. It would be for at most 3 of the 4 championship belts, because one of the belts will be virtually immediately stripped. This was known in advance. It's common practice. So he's not going to win it. Number two, it's no longer for the undisputed. So so he wouldn't be winning anything new. He wouldn't be pushing his career forward effectively. And number three, it would be, as he lost, it would be for a drastically reduced sum. Now, if that was the only fight that was on the table for him, and knowing Fury, Fury will want to carry on fighting for no other reason that he will be terrified of what will happen to his life if he doesn't have a reason to train. Because as he's proved to himself and the world, if he doesn't have a reason to train, then in his mind, he doesn't have a reason to live, which is sad. He's got 7 or 8 children. He's got a beautiful wife, but without training, he doesn't have a reason to live. You would hope that having brought children into the world would be enough to give you reason to get up in the morning and not be off your tits on drink and drugs. But for him, no. Kids, wife, not enough. He needs to train. So he's going to want to fight. But I think the 2 most attractive options to Fury will be, on the one hand, you've got the rematch. Reduced money, he's going to lose, let's face it. But then on the other hand, there will be the prospect of a fight with Joshua, AJ. That will be for way more money than the Usyk fight. And he will probably think he's got a much better chance of winning that one. So my prediction at the moment will be that he won't trigger the rematch, but he will fight AJ somewhere around the right time. And then I imagine that the way it would work out would be that the winner of him and AJ would get an automatic shot at the at whichever belt it is that's being stripped, which I think Hrgovic will be fighting for as the mandatory contender. But make no mistake, Fury against AJ would be a bigger fight than the undisputed. It'd be bigger in terms of the purse. It would be an enormous fight. And I think that will appeal to Fury much more. Unless Fury gets a massive kick of adrenaline and wants to set the record straight and reclaim what was his in the way that. And Lennox Lewis got it absolutely right. Of course, Lewis has got a claim to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. Lewis was not an undefeated fighter. He lost a couple of times. However, he does go down in history as well as being the undisputed champion. He was a man who beat everybody that he faced. So although he was beaten on more than one occasion, he took the rematches, fought them again, and won. Maybe Fury will get a bit of pride and want to at least try and do the same thing. And maybe, if he went into Fury Usyk 2, with a bit more humility, a bit more humble, and didn't fuck about trying to showboat and entertain the crowd and belittle the guy and all of that bollocks, if he actually knuckled down and just did the job that he was in there to do, then maybe. I mean, time is slightly on his side. He's younger than Usyk. He's 2 years, nearly 3 years younger than Usyk. So that is a possibility. The other thing that Fury would definitely need to do would be to get all of the idiots and the yes men and his father the fuck out of his corner, because they are fucking him up big time. He's got an entourage around him who all tell him that he's fantastic. He earns huge money. They earn huge money. They don't want to upset him. So they're never going to tell him that he's doing something wrong or that he needs to do something differently. They're just going to say, you're doing great. And then he's got his father who just hasn't got a clue about anything. And his father is the loudest voice in his corner. And the couple of people that he has got in his corner in his entourage who genuinely do have insight, they're being drowned out by all of the loudest voices. So he needs to get rid, thin his corner out, and he needs to become what he claims to be, a proper fighting man. And just go in, no nonsense, no insults, no ignobility, and no prattling about in the ring. Do what Usyk does. Go in, do your job, take all the marbles. But we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. And on that note, darlings, it's gone midnight. It's time to say good night. So start saying your good night. I need to get off because I'm knackered as usual on a Sunday night. It's been a long weekend. I've got to be up and ready for the old yard day tomorrow, and then having the absolute pleasure and joy of having the lovely Neil and Sophie staying with me right here at Windy Bum tomorrow night. That'll be fun, won't it? I've got a funny story about chili juice in something that I wasn't supposed to go in, says Neil. I don't fancy this camping trip now, says Mustard. Oh, and you're only coming for the afternoon where we're pretending to be sane anyway. Is he coming for the afternoon? I bet he doesn't turn up. Paul, you will be fine. Just make sure you've got good locks on the doors of your car and hide your keys so you can get a clean getaway. Mustard, my cat loved your dog joke, says Steakold. Father Boaty on the campsite, says Peter P, with a sign saying down with this sort of thing. Yes, absolutely. Paul, you should go, stay sober, and then you'll be able to recount the whole weekend and all the stories, or film it and have a record-breaking video. Sounds like you're all going dogging, not camping, says Mr. Stephen Paddy. I'll add that to the list, says M11. You're spot on, says Alan. Not everyone expects the Elvis in Donald, which makes it even more entertaining to sing, and it was Andy Stewart. I think it was unreleased when he went to the great Kylie in the Sky. Oh dear. Re-released, Alan meant to say. I'm not reading those out. Nor that. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that one or that one. Or that one. Or that one. No, I'm not reading that. Okay, right. They're all talking about Mustard's Widge. Right, I will say this about Mustard's Widge. well, not about mustard widge, about widges in general, or penises to give them their correct term. Now, for those of you who don't know, generally speaking, there are two types of penis. Now, medically, and trust me, this is a fact. Bear in mind that, I was and am a medically trained person, amazingly. Yeah, I know that's surprising. Penises can be enormously disparate in size when they are flaccid, i.e., not in an excitable state. However, they tend to be, by and large, much of a muchness when they are aroused. So, in other words, when it comes to Willy Wonkas, you have two types. You have growers and you have showers. So, you get showers who have large appendages when flaccid, but when they become, forgive the word, erect, then they remain the same size. And then you have growers, which are much less impressive when flaccid, but when the state of arousal takes effect, then they grow exponentially and become the same size as the showers. So your grower and your shower in a state of pottering readiness will probably be round and about the same. And I think that's a fascinating fact. Because you think about it, if you were a lady woman type people, and your first pottering experience is with a grower. So, you catch a sight of it in its unexcited state, and you think, oh, okay. But then when things start getting steamy, suddenly it's the size of a baby's arm. And then imagine if that same female lady woman person, imagine if her second pottering experience was with a grower. So she sees this enormous thing and thinks, dear God, she's going to assume that it's going to grow in the same way that the first one did. And she's going to think, I can't deal with that. And, you can imagine she might even back out of it for that particular reason. But there you go, folks. That is a medical fact. You have growers and you have showers. So don't assume that somebody with a shower is going to be more in the pottering department than somebody with a grower. Of course, the caveat is that you might get somebody that you think is a grower, and in fact, they're just not very well blessed. But and I'm sure many chaps will attest to this, and possibly many ladies as well. The growth that can be achieved by a little tinkle is really quite extraordinary. I don't know why I'm talking about this, and I don't want to get too far into it. The capacity for expansion. Dear, oh dear. What a subject. There's got to be a video title in there, hasn't there, though? Growers and showers. You've got your growers and you've got your showers. So maybe that's a feature. Gentlemen, which are you? Are you a grower or are you a shower? And ladies, which do you prefer? Right, I want to get off and get some bleeding supper. Oh! I should have a bit of a tidy round before my guests arrive and stuff, shouldn't I? Oh, God. And my digestive system is now completely breaking down. Boaty's caught the sun. I probably have, because I've had the top down all night and it's been sunny. Don't make me. Oh God, they're still on about. Yeah, we don't need to do that. Apparently, his the undisputed is only for 2 weeks. That's not. Yeah, I mean, we knew in advance that one of the belts would be stripped. It's just the unfortunate way that boxing works, because in order for the undisputed to happen, then one of the mandatories for one of the belts had to be stepped over, and because you fought the undisputed, rather than fighting your mandatory, then you get stripped of the belt. It's just one of the weird things about boxing that really needs to change, to be honest, because the people won't be able to understand it. You know, somebody fights for all four belts, five if you include the Ring Magazine belt, or six if you include the new undisputed belt, and then immediately after winning, one of them gets taken away. People won't understand that, but hey ho. If only we knew a measuring man. God, could you imagine a Legro man being dragged onto the camping trip so he could? Oh, the mind boggles. Mr. Stephen Paddy said last night Tyson said take the rematch in the live planning around October the 4th. Yeah, last night Tyson Fury said a lot of things, including that he thought he won the fight, which he doesn't think. Nobody could think. I mean, did you see how stupidly he got slapped around in round 9? Dear God. And he also, and what an utter prick, he said that, and I hate this, of all the things you could hate Tyson Fury for, this has got to be top of the list. He said that the judging was unfairly skewed in Usyk's favour because of sympathy because his country was at war. Heck, you know, the great fighting man couldn't just shake his hands and say, the better man on that night won. I'll come back, I'll do better. Couldn't do it, could he? Couldn't do it. Lord Brennan of Sealand says Tyson Fury, the sporting equivalent of a Mark I Range Rover Sport with flat tyres parked on the front lawn of a council house. That is the comment of the night. I'm going to read that out again. Tyson Fury, the sporting equivalent of a Mark I Range Rover Sport with flat tyres parked on the front lawn of a council house. I love that. I love that. Well done. Good night, all, says Baddy Scratter. Jimmy F500 says, oh, 4 hosts tomorrow night. What can go wrong? Well, we'll see, won't we? Bye, all, says Jimmy. And I've got to control all of them, says Matron. Good luck with that, Matron, says Jimmy F. Is Boaty giving you a pay rise? Oh, my word, phallic talk. Growers, showers, and micro peens, says Matron. Oh, hello. Andrew Buttigieg's just turned up, just as we're saying good night again. A very good evening, Boaty, and everyone. Oh, dear. Boaty seems to have a little too much expertise on the one-eyed trouser snake. The only time I've ever been shocked at the size of a peen, says Matron, is when it was the size of a crayon or an acorn. I have not... No, can't read that. Good night, chat. Good night, Boaty. Have a safe evening and a great day tomorrow, says John. Thank you, John. You too. I think we can take from that is that Mustard is a shower and Boaty is a grower, yeah? Says Matron. Seems that way, Trace, says Barry. Good night, all. Can't wait to see you, says Sophie. Night, Soph. See you tomorrow. I genuinely don't care about grower stroke shower, says Matron. I don't look much before I meet it in person, and then I just hope there's plenty for me to tell Emma about. Oh, well, thanks for letting us all know that you're indiscreet. Good night, everyone, says Mustard. Night, says Matron. Oh, Andrew, you'll have to watch it back. Boaty's live, proves he's alive, says the Ken Joji. I haven't seen you for ages. Where have you been, mate? Where have you been? We've missed you. Got to be a variant for title. Tyson Fury, the sporting equivalent of a Mark 1. I can't, it's too long. It's too long. I'll screenshot it though. Oh, that's all right. You feel free to forget about me. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I did the same myself. Right then, darlings, that is it. Right, please join me and Emma and Neil and Sophie tomorrow night, 10 o'clock start. Don't forget, Monday Night Live. Tomorrow I will be at the yard with Mustard and Neil and Sophie. There will be videos coming from that. I will be filming. Yes. Yeah, please join us tomorrow night. Don't forget, 10 o'clock, earlier start. In the meantime, have yourselves a safe and peaceful night. Have the best day that you can tomorrow. Take joy wherever you can. Take care of those that you love and those who love you. And on the subject of love, much love from me. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Good night. But you, and indeed, oh, of course, bosh.